Mutate is a function in the dplyr package that allows us to create or transform existing columns in a data frame. Let us read some data in from the data file centralparktemps.txt. And so I'm going to call this cpt data, and in this data frame I'm going to read underscore CSV, and I'm going to read from centralparktemps.txt. This data frame, if we actually take a look at the data file, is in long form and holds data of related temperatures in Central Park. If you click on the data file right here, you see that this data file, the .txt file, has year, month, and temperature, 3 columns that capture temperatures in Central Park from 1869 all the way down, if I understand it correctly, to 2016. And so this data file is appropriately structured. Consequently, one of the things that I can do is I can create a new column in this data frame. I can create a new column in this data frame called temperature in Celsius, because the temperature in that data frame right now is temperature in Fahrenheit. So I'm going to use the pipe operator, and I'm going to run the mutate function. The mutate function allows me to create a new data frame or create new columns or transform existing columns. I'm going to create a new column called temp C because the existing temperature column is in Fahrenheit. I'm going to create a new column that is called temp C that is the Celsius representation of the Fahrenheit temperature. Now, to convert the Fahrenheit temperature column to Celsius, I have a function that I have already stored in the R global environment called F to C. And so what I'm going to be doing is running this F to C function on the existing temperature column that already exists in the Central Park's data frame or data set. In addition to this, I'm going to be creating a mean temp column. This mean temp column is going to be the rounded version of the mean temperature that is present in that data set, and this is going to be rounded to 2 decimal places. If I run this, I now have CPT data that has 1765 observations of 5 variables. If I take a look at the head of CPT data, I will find that I have year, month, and temperature, but I also have a temp C column and a mean temp column that has been rounded to 2 decimal places. So the mutate function in dplyr allows me to create new columns based on conditions. Now, there are lots of different operations I can perform in the mutation. In this case, I have run a function on a column, and then I have calculated like the mean of a column. Other things that I can do is I can create columns based on certain conditions present in other columns. For instance, I can say, just working with CPT data once again, I can say CPT data, and just taking the same example is I'm going to read Central Park temperatures and I'm going to run a mutation. This mutation, however, is going to be slightly different. I am going to run a mutation where I create a column high or low. And this column is going to have a value that is based on a conditional check, running an if-else conditional check. And the if-else conditional check is going to check if the value of temperature is greater than, for instance, the value 80. If the value of temperature is greater than 80, it is going to be considered high, and if not, it is going to be considered low. If I run this, I will find the head of CPT data holding year, month, and temperature, and if the temperature was high or low. And so we can run multiple such operations while we are creating new columns. Another way I can use mutate is to change values in already existing columns. I already have in CPT data values of high or low. Let's say I want to change high to be something else. In fact, temperatures above 80 are not just high, they're scorching. And so one of the things I could do is I could say in CPT data, I want to take the already existing CPT data and I'm going to run the pipe operation and I'm going to run a mutation. And the mutation I'm going to run is I'm going to indicate that the high or low column is going to have a new value. The high or low column is going to have a new value that is based on a recoding that I want to take place. I want to recode values in this high or low column where I change the high value to be actually equal to scorching. When I run this, you can find that CPT data, I can take a look at the entire data frame. And if it pulls up, while the column name is high or low, I have a variety of low temperatures. And if I scroll down, I've got to find a high enough temperature that requires me to do some scrolling. In fact, I don't even have to do that. One of the things that I can do is I can take CPT data, pipe it into a filter where the value in the column, instead of trying to view it and going through the effort of scrolling through and finding scorching values, I'm just going to take CPT data, run a filter on it, and search for those rows where the high or low column has values equal to scorching. If I run this, I see that I do have some rows where the value of the high or low column is equal to scorching. Obviously, there aren't that many of them. I think I have probably only 7 rows where the value of the high or low column was changed to, in fact, scorching. And so the mutate function allows me to recode or change values in already existing columns or to create new columns with new values.